Do you know the Justin's peanut butter cups? I call them Justines, but they are Justin's.
I don't think I do.
Oh, you don't? They're
Maybe.
they're still at like Whole Foods and stuff.
Okay.
They also have them at Stop and Shop too.
Yeah.
But I eat like a pack of those a day.
Nice.
You know? And
for me,
routine.
The Trader Joe's dark chocolate peanut butter cups are
those are in our office.
Yeah.
If you swing by.
Oh my God, those are dangerous.
So good. Good.
All right, you want to talk about Jason and the Argos?
Yeah, let's do it.
We'll pick something from there to be the opening of the podcast.
Sounds good.
As you know, I don't know how to start the podcast, so it'll either be that or something along the lines of Welcome to Late to the Movies. My name is Ben Holton. This is a podcast where my friends and I get to fill in our movie blind spots. Each week, we'll pick a film that either I or a guest hadn't seen before and really should have by now. This week, continuing Sword and Sandals Month, it's Jason and the Argonauts, the 1963 film. I don't even know. I guess there's other adaptations. There's like TV.
There are,
stuff,
yeah.
But this is the one that I think of because the movie's fine, but then it has some of the best stop motion animation ever in it. And that's why it's in any special effects reel that ever gets shown at the Academy Awards.
Yeah.
That guy fighting some skeletons. But that's at the end of the movie. And we're not even going to talk about the movie yet. Here to talk it through, it's Brady. What's up?
Hey, how's it going? Glad to be back on the couch, man.
Yeah. Welcome to the couch. It's become a very comfy recording spot.
Yeah, it's good. I think I liked this movie a little bit better than Johnny Mnemonic when I was last here.
Okay, yeah, it's good to level set, I think.
Yes, I think for the viewers or listeners that don't know, I had to take a pause from October. I don't really do scary movies, so I was gone for a month, but I'm back.
Yeah,
I'm better than ever. And
you rested up.
I am. Nothing too scary in this week's movie. So
No. More monsters than what Patrick and I talked about last month.
Yeah.
Which was, well, I mean, I guess if you count vampires, but as far as like actual like
creatures,
beasts.
Yeah. Very, very good. But yeah, very excited. Also, I know I don't want to like run the show, but I've got some pretty exciting movies that I've watched recently that
please tell me about them.
So the most recent, starting from the oldest, I watched the 2024 film Civil War most recently.
Okay.
I liked it.
Yeah, I like it.
I really enjoyed it. Kind of blew my hair back in a lot of ways. I think the photographic nature of the film was very impressive. I really enjoyed that. I watched a little bit of a comedy to placate my fiance for sitting through Civil War with me. Watched Shiva Baby.
Yeah, totally chill movie. Not at all stressful.
I thought it was going to be a little bit more easier. It's almost like Uncut Gems.
Yes, it is.
At a Shiva. Then really kind of what I was most excited for, Barry Lyndon. I'd never seen it before.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay. There is an edit that floats around of 21 Savage's A Lot. And then there's another edit that's actually what got me to watch the movie.
Great.
And I really enjoyed it. 5 stars.
That movie's so good.
It really is. It's we talked about Civil War being like very photographic.
Yeah.
Talk about like this is very
painterly.
Painterly, exactly. And then 2 nights ago watched Witness for the Prosecution.
Okay.
Billy Wilder.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
I haven't seen that Wilder, but I've enjoyed every Billy Wilder movie I've seen, but I haven't seen that one.
YouTube video that was like he's the GOAT, and I was like, I've only ever seen what's his most famous one with the woman?
Sunset Boulevard.
And so yeah, I had a really good run there.
Yeah.
I think Barry Lyndon needed to be seen, and then very excitingly for me, Jason the Argonauts marks my 1,000th unique director on Letterboxd.
Oh, wow. Yeah. You hadn't gotten any Don Chaffeys in there before?
I had not. I don't think so.
I'm not really familiar with his work.
I haven't.
And it might be Chaffey, but
Pete's Dragon, I feel like I've heard of it. And 1 million years BC. And it's got a kind of a sexy woman on the cover.
That's the same guy?
That's
okay.
As far as I know.
Wow.
So yeah, it was my 1,000th director. I'm at 1,300 films and 1,000 directors. So I thought I'm a little over 1,300 now. But so very exciting for me. What about you? Have you watched anything good lately?
This isn't too far after the last recording, so I haven't watched a lot. I always want to watch more. It's an interesting time period where I think the big things that I missed over the summer are about to be dropping on streaming or recently have. Like I missed Trap over the summer, but a couple episodes ago,
you just watched it.
Yep, I watched Trap. So stuff like that. I think Alien Romulus will be streaming within the next few weeks.
Very exciting, yeah.
Which I missed in theaters.
Now, was Trap for a guy like me, and I'm a big M. Night guy? Is it a little too spooky, or would I like it?
Yes, I think so.
I like The Village a lot.
Yeah,
I think I've probably talked about it every podcast I'm on.
Yeah,
I like The Village.
So Trap is more thriller. It has no supernatural elements at all. So FYI on that.
Cool. I'm cool with that.
It's
got
a bit disconcerting. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bit disconcerting. It's a lot about a guy's relationship with his daughter. The pop star that's in the movie is M. Night Shyamalan's daughter.
Oh, no way. That's so fun.
So it's always like, it's funny because one of his other daughters had her first movie come out this year,
Yes.
The Watchers, something I want to watch. And with I feel like the conversation around that is like, oh yeah, M. Night's just like, funneling his kids these contracts and whatever. And he produces that movie. And then it's like, yeah. And he's like, I have to cast like a superstar and they're going to write original music and I'm going to put their music in this movie. Who should it be? Probably my other daughter.
I do love,
but she's really good at it.
I think he kind of gets some crap for putting himself in movies and maybe not always being the most dynamic. I will say, I think if I had to choose a director like a Quentin Tarantino versus an M. Night, I think I'm gonna go with M. Night. But
I like M. Night's movies a lot, but Trap is definitely it does have that M. Night thing where I think if you go in thinking that he's taking it all seriously, you're going to be like, this is dumb. But it's like, no,
stupid. Yeah.
A lot of it is supposed to be funny and is funny.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Good. You know what? Maybe I'll throw it on. I did notice that you didn't rate this movie because presumably we're going to talk about it on the pod.
Because anytime I do an episode with someone I know also has Letterboxd, I try to not do the rating in advance.
I figured that was the reason, but I don't think it escaped me, man.
Yeah, I didn't. I'm glad you noticed it.
Eagle-eye viewer. Here.
My efforts were worth it.
Yeah. I'm very excited to talk about the movie.
Yes, let's get into Jason and the Argonauts. I am counting it as not having seen the movie before, but I have, I believe, watched it once before in a classroom in 6th grade.
It's funny that you say that. Very similar circumstances. Yeah. I would not really say that I had seen it before, but I know and I knew enough about it that it's like there was some baseline understanding there for sure.
Yeah, and it is loosely the story of Jason and the Argonauts. Mm-hmm. They take some liberties, but it's pretty much the Jason stuff is more or less how it holds true to the myth version of it. And do you want to try 1 minute plot summary?
Sure, no problem. We have a start of a movie, fade to black, fade in from black. We have a king who is conquering the kingdom of Thessaly, and he is rampaging and killing. He has a bit of an oracle who tells him that one day a man will come and replace him, and he is the son of the current king of Thessaly. And he's like, all right, well, I'm just going to kill all these people. Kills his sister, and as she's praying to the goddess Hera, I say Hera, they say Hera a lot. I don't know.
It's Hera.
I say Hera myself.
Yeah, you're fine.
Eventually, there's like kind of Hera protects who we come to find out is Jason. Jason rescues the king who's going to kill him. He goes on a quest of some sort in order to retrieve the golden fleece from this kingdom. And in his quest, he gets a ragtag group of people aboard the ship, the Argos, named after its builder. They encounter giant bronze men and harpies and dancing women who are painted gold.
Terrifying.
And a hydra and the wrath of the gods, for lack of a better term. Mm-hmm. But Jason triumphs through all of this, and eventually he gets the golden fleece, and it's wonderful. It's great. That's like that's a 30-second plot summary right there for you.
It's interesting. As the movie was ending, I was like, oh, I guess, yeah. I mean, I like that they're true to the myth, and like things take a long time. Things can take years or whatever, but yeah. After that scene where he meets Pelaius towards the beginning, Pelaius is not in this movie anymore.
No.
And he is ostensibly the villain of the movie.
Yeah. He's there.
But he's just straight up not in the final hour and 15 minutes of this thing.
I have a confession to make. We get to the part where they recover the golden fleece, and on the thing I was watching it said I had 20 minutes left.
Yeah. And
so it gets to the part where Zeus and Hera are talking. They're like, "Oh, the board's cleared."
Yeah.
And I paused it and I was like, "All right, I'm going to do the dishes." So because I was eating it with dinner.
Yeah.
Or I was watching it with dinner. So I clean and I do the dishes, and I'm like, "All right, I'm going to come back and I'm going to watch the final 20 minutes." And just the movie ends.
Yep.
It's like, I was like, if I had waited 30 seconds, the movie would have been over. So yeah, there's no resolution really with that. He's not like...
Yes. It becomes more about faith and Jason and his relationship with the gods. He doesn't even believe in the gods when we first meet him as an adult.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because they're intervening all over the place around Greece and Thessaly, but whatever.
And then we have the statue of Hera whose eyes horrifically open and close.
Horrifically is the right way to put it. Yeah. Argo, when building the ship, makes he's like, I don't know why it's you gotta check out the figurehead. Jason's like, is it on the front? And he's like, no, it's a stern. And Jason's like, what the hell? Why'd you do that? He's like, I don't know, something made me do it. I think you're gonna hate it, but check it out anyway. And he's like, it's this horrific visage of this mask of death of Hera.
Honor Blackman, right?
Yeah. And Jason's like, it's perfect. It's gonna wink at me.
Always wanted.
And its weirdly baggy eyelids out of paper mache are going to be creepy.
The fact that it moves, it was pretty horrifying.
It's also surprising how late in the game the other people still didn't know that he was. They're just like, he's doing weird stuff. He's talking to that statue again. It's like, you can see its eyes moving.
Yeah,
everyone should be able to see this.
Everyone should be like, and like Hercules is there, and he's just like chilling.
Yes. Oh yeah, you left out the part where to form a crew he invents the Olympics.
Yes.
Hercules pops up and. And the gods are like, good idea.
Good idea.
Yes. We are best served by those who need our help least. Good call.
I did like that line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hercules shows up. He's just a total... He's like, I don't know. He's sort of a fuck up. He's kind of a fuck up. That's Hercules' thing.
He's very broad chested and gleaming and tan.
Yes.
Everyone, I made a note here, and I say this with a little bit of tongue in cheek. I said this is 300 if 300 wasn't so woke.
That's Zack Snyder, always putting progressive politics in his movies.
And I say that because it's not everyone here is like ripped to shreds.
Yeah.
And there's like guys who are just chilling perpetually. They got a little bit of a beer belly.
Yeah.
But they're lounging and everyone looks good. Everyone's really tan. And I'm like, this movie's great. It's like very like, it's just dudes hanging out with their shirts off all day long.
Just guys being dudes.
And I like
Argo doesn't look like people who have their shirts off in movies anymore. Looks like
that's what I meant.
Yeah, he's just like a man of.
There's not a six pack in this movie.
He could be 40. He could be 60.
I actually had to look it up. 37.
Are you?
I paused it. I turned to my fiance. I go, how old do you think he is? She goes, oh, he's got to be like 55. I go, 37. He's also dead 10 years after this movie. He dies at 47.
Oh, no.
But he's like, and I can't say anything to our listeners. I have a lot of gray hair. I'm 28. But he has got like huge rims of gray.
Yeah, his chest hair is gray.
His chest hair is gray. He's chesty. He's chesty. He's like he's a full figured guy.
He's a full figured
6'5", like broad shoulders. But yeah, he's 30, only 37. But again, it goes to show you that you can't look 37 and look like that anymore. Like, Jason Alexander being 29 during Seinfeld, now he looks ancient. So
I'm coming up on my Gandolfini birthday. I think he was 35 at the start of Sopranos, something like that.
Was he really?
Yeah, I think he's only like 35 or 36.
I actually just got a season 1 for like $3 online.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyway, I have you seen the meme where it's like they kind of like gives everyone like a strong chin and it like plays that. The first half of this movie was very much of guys walking around with very strong chins and beards and things like that. And I love the costumes though. Like the battle scene at the beginning was like good.
Yeah.
Honor Blackman as Hera. She's a Bond girl.
Yeah. I liked this vision of Mount Olympus.
I did too.
It's just everyone's sort of hanging out.
Yeah,
I think that's pretty cool. It's
they kind of got like TV, poolside TV.
Oddly similar to the same situation, like the same room sort of appears in Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief.
Yeah. So true.
The scale of mortals versus how tall the gods are, also very similar to how it's portrayed in Percy Jackson.
Yes. Oh, great books though.
I want to read the books now because
you never read them.
No, doing the movie. Yeah, it was slightly after.
You were like probably like in high school, at the end of high school when the first one came out.
First one's what, 2005?
Yeah.
So it's freshman year of high school for me.
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
Okay.
How old do you think I am? Oh my God.
Well, I actually didn't know when they came out. So I thought it was later.
Part of the everyone's here, everyone's just bros being dudes. I like that. I
do too.
Everyone is like a guy though. And so some of the accelerated nature of having to tackle all this in about an hour 40.
Yeah.
And I would say counting credits, but the movie just ends because back then movies just ended.
Yeah.
And they did the credits first. So it just be over and you just get the Columbia logo and it's done.
Oh, well, that's it.
Yep. These are all people who have histories and stuff, and I think the only one where I really feel the friction of it is Hylas, who joins up when he beats Hercules at discus because he's like, I'm going to skip it, and he's like, well, you're going to need brains as well as brawn. And he doesn't do anything smart before dying.
No, he tells Hercules, he's like, maybe we don't touch the giant brooch. What was it? Brooch?
Yeah,
needle.
It was a brooch pin or
brooch
something.
pin.
And Hercules is like, it's
Hercules
a good javelin.
Like, who cares? They're not gonna miss it.
Yeah.
And that was probably the smartest thing he did do.
But it's not like he used his smarts to persuade Hercules to agree with him. He just went, well, never mind.
Yeah, or with a great scene. We're gonna punch the movie up 40 years later. Instead of like Hera telling them about what was the name of the creature.
They say Talos.
Talos.
But I feel like it's in my head because of Skyrim, I'm thinking Talos.
I would also say Talos because of Skyrim. But he could have been like, oh, his feet. There's a boss. I also wrote in my notes. I love when villains
have a glowing weak point.
A video game weak spot. He doesn't do much.
Yeah.
But he can sure toss a discus. He can sure...
That's it. It's not like he was self-rowing. And again, how everything is so accelerated, I guess that's when Hylas dies, and that happens to be the first thing they do, pretty much.
Yeah. I also thought it was very interesting. You have the time jump at the beginning. I thought it was a bit striking. The way kind of like how the movie just ends. I thought there'd be a little bit more of a build up to here's Jason. Here's like. But he's just...
They hand wave that a bit by Hera being like, it'll be 20 years till he's a man.
Yeah.
A blink of an eye for us.
Yeah. And then blank.
Yeah, just a moment for Olympus or whatever she says. And then it really is literally the next scene.
Yeah, he's just right in the middle.
He's there.
Of saving
Pelias.
Pelias, exactly. I overall, I do want to say, you can't talk about...
She can help him 5 times.
She can help him 5 times. I also I was like, is this going to be like kind of like some trickery where they're going to like count one time, very Dungeons and Dragons, like where they're talking to the dead soldier. They're like, did that count as a question?
Yes.
Yeah,
exactly,
yeah. But no, I felt like there wasn't really any, that didn't really play a huge role. Like,
no, he uses them up pretty quickly.
Yeah. He's like, what do I do? She's like this. He's like, okay.
Yeah, I like that he's even like, how do I beat this guy? And she's like, okay, this is like, maybe don't ask. If you ask again, I have to tell you, but maybe try and figure it out first.
He's like, I ask again.
And she's like, then I have to tell you, think about it.
Yeah.
That's all I can tell you.
Yeah. Thank you, Hera. Very cool.
Yep.
No, I think Hera, we can't really talk about Hera, Honor Blackman, for not talking about her role. It's probably the most memorable Bond girl name of Pussy Galore.
Yeah.
In Goldfinger.
Solid. It's solid.
I would just love that trend to come back.
I think Austin Powers killed it.
I've never seen them.
Yeah.
So what happened in Austin Powers? Give me a
like every woman has a
a sexual
yes.
name. I didn't know that. I would, you know, but everything's like such a grounded interpretation of things now that just Daniel Craig, you know, working alongside someone like that would be very interesting to me.
We'll see.
We will see. I have in my notes here, we've talked a little bit about it as well. The sense of scale that this movie plays with is super cool. I wish I had looked up like a YouTube video or, you know, done a little bit more research, but in a way it's like movie magic. And I don't want to know like how with the Talos. I was more impressed with like Talos than I was with the skeletons.
Yeah.
Having seen Spy Kids 2, Island of Lost Dreams, definitely a little bit of an homage to this movie.
Yeah, I think so. We don't have to go all the way to the end, but we also don't have to follow it plot beat by plot beat. Talos, the skeletons are probably the main two pulls. The stranglehold that this movie has on the imagination of an entire generation of film directors who make blockbusters.
Yeah.
I mean, this is directly referenced by Spielberg when he's talking about making Jurassic Park, when they're originally thinking about how to do it, and they're thinking of doing stop motion for the T-Rex, and Phil Tippett gets hired to do that. Ultimately, they do the CGI. Phil Tippett's still in the credits of Jurassic Park as the dinosaur wrangler.
Oh, that's... did he do Mad God?
Yes, Phil Tippett's Mad God. Oh. Decades in the making.
Yeah.
One of the few people still holding up a torch for stop motion.
Yeah.
Seemingly lost his mind making it, but that movie is incredible and disturbing, and I don't ever want to watch it again, but I'm glad I've seen it.
Yes, I totally agree. And I think I'm usually really put off by like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer type of stop motion, but this was really different. Really
so articulated, so ridiculous, and this will be the first time that we mention the name Ray Harryhausen on the podcast today. But yeah, no, he's incredible, and this is so referenced. More people would recognize probably first those skeletons, especially, I think, than would know that it's from this movie, Jason and the Argonauts.
Yeah.
But it's really cool. That sequence is awesome. I know, and the Talos sequence is really cool too.
The way like they use like the bronze sound effects of like metal being moved, and you know, we talk about one thing at one time, but just like when they're running on the beach and, you know, he kind of like moves and he gets, I'm putting my hand in front of the mic. He moves and he's like standing there and it's like the sense of scale of like, you obviously can tell that it's fake, you know, that it's not like a giant metal statue, but the way in which like the actors sell it and the way in which they incorporate into the film is so awesome that I like wish more movies had that now.
I agree.
Rather than just like fake CGI slop, you know.
It's hard. It's really hard. It takes, I'm assuming this all took a really long time.
Yeah.
And I do think it gets each set piece more impressive in terms of how much the actors are interacting with the creature at scale.
Yes. I do think it's so funny. Like Todd Armstrong, I feel like struggled.
Who plays Jason?
to make it look real, but at the end, I think a lot of the two, I forget the characters' names.
One's Castor, and both he and the other character, you know, in myth, do not die in this in this experience.
Yeah, but they really
famously die at other points in their lives.
Sold like fighting the skeletons, and I think like Jason acts like a little too genteel with it, where he's like.
Yes,
kind of like
they were really
like,
it's like, oh, those guys were ringers.
Yes,
I don't even know if they had lines. Those were probably just stunt performers,
and they did fantastic. And I think it's you know, so interesting.
That popped me. That sequence was amazing for me. I went back and watched it again because it's like the whole thing. It's like, oh yeah, it's cute. Even the Talos thing is, you're like, wow, this is really impressive. You can see why. Between King Kong and this, an entire generation of American blockbuster filmmakers, even though counting Peter Jackson from New Zealand, counting Guillermo del Toro, King Kong and this being the touch point for how do you make a blockbuster movie.
Yeah.
You can trace the lineage so directly, but and Robert Rodriguez, as you said, with stop motion at least.
That was me when I saw this movie. I was like, It's like the meme, guys only ever seen Boss Baby. I'm getting a lot of Boss Baby. I'm getting a lot of Spy Kids too.
All to say, up to that skeleton sequence, the other stuff, it's all really cool, but I think the skeleton sequence is like, I genuinely don't know how they did this. I can see they're on a set with Matt painting in the background. I was like, okay, is there a scale model set and then also a full scale set that the actors are on, and then the stop motion creatures are on their own set, or like, are they full size, or like, how are they doing this?
Yeah. Or is it like,
I don't know. I haven't looked
forced
up.
Perspective,
Yeah.
like where they have like stand-ins and then like.
And you can tell it's compositing. The lighting doesn't exactly match up. They're not both in the same space, but with the skeleton stuff, it's so intricate. They have shadows. I was checking for that. I was like, they have shadows in the same space that the actor has a shadow.
Get those in new TVs and movies anymore.
I know.
For real people.
For real, yeah. So that for me, that was like, wow, okay, no, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. That sequence alone, when I do my Letterboxd rating, is worth, I think, a full star above where the rest of the movie is.
I agree. And I think like when I was looking at,
it must have really freaked people out in the 60s, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I also thought the scene with I don't know if it's Poseidon. Is that like Poseidon? Or
it's technically Triton. I looked this up so I could make a joke about how second movie in a row we're doing something that involves Poseidon's son.
Okay.
Because Percy Jackson.
But that was
Triton.
That was very impressive, cool too. I like
it's a really cool image.
Yeah, when they're on the boat and
yeah.
like they like sorry, I hit the mic.
Yeah.
When they like move,
it sounded like a ship. So
yes, the water's like splashing. You see like all of this like comes together, and it's like clearly like the close-ups of the rock is just like smaller rocks falling, but they sell it so well, and then you see him, and again, burly chest hair, you don't see that anymore, and just like them like looking at him as they're like passing by the ship, and the water hitting the ship, him holding up the rocks. I mean that's like cool, that
for the time
so
the
awesome.
Special effects look great in this movie. And
I think like my dad always talks about Star Wars in 1977, but if I saw this movie back then, and I'd be like
14 years earlier,
I'd be like what?
Right?
How did they do that? Yeah.
And that's the thing where it's not like, I feel like so much of CGI is to make it look real.
Yeah.
But I don't need this to look real. I think this looks awesome.
Yes.
I like the artistry of how they've pulled this off.
No, totally. And I think like video games almost like get that in a way where it's like, we don't want it to look real. We want it to look cool.
Yes.
And that's like a difference, like
it's a huge difference.
Like sure, like Cyberpunk could look, you can add mods to it and make it look a second podcast. I want to talk about Cyberpunk, but you can make it look like real life. But like, I live in real life. Show me something cool. I don't need like to see Hong Kong with like each individual hair rendered.
Yeah,
like I want to see him on top of the Empire State Building.
Yeah.
And this movie, I think, was one of the most impressive movies I had ever seen when it comes to special effects, especially for the time.
Yeah.
I really love Kubrick 2001, which came out like a year later.
Oh God. Yeah.
So like that movie, very impressive, great, but so different. I think like Space is almost easier to do because it's a lot of it is like painting and backdrops and things like that. But this really seemed to like push the boundaries of what is possible to like show multiple actors working alongside stop motion. And I loved it. I would love to like go back in time and like talk to the people who are involved with this and like
for sure
be on set.
There is
like, how do you do this?
I think there's a couple cuts that make me want to actually buy it on disc of director's commentaries on ones with Peter Jackson.
Oh.
And there's one with Ray Harryhausen and his biographer. Really? And so it's like, okay, those are probably both I'm interested to hear both of those. And it's a pretty quick movie, so just put it on as background noise. And I would love to hear what they have to say about it. In between the Harryhausen bits and like the special effects show pieces, I think they make the right call in keeping it pretty like journeyman level directing. It's very much of the time. It's not the director himself isn't really trying to push borders and how boundaries and how he's filming it.
Yeah.
The acting is very earnest, which I think works for this movie.
Yeah.
There's no wink. No one's trying to be cool. It's very uncool. It's deeply uncool, but I think that works.
Yeah.
And they are so bought in. The cast is very game for what they're doing.
Yeah.
That when there's big emotions or fighting big monsters, you buy it.
Yes. I think I think it's very well said. I think so many movies now are so irony poisoned and everyone's like, "Can you believe we're fighting this thing?"
Yeah.
Talos is there. He's right behind me, isn't he? But I really feel like, yeah, you said it. And I think like I've recently this year I read the Iliad and the Odyssey and similar time, similar kind of, mythology. And I really love how bought in the characters are. There's a lot of like love for like their fellow man, Philadelphia, if you will, that they really kind of appreciate each other. And there's a lot of like grasping and, holding one another and communicating and genuine fear for things that I think there. And like the stakes feel very real, even though we as an audience don't necessarily get a good ending to these stakes, but they feel very real to the characters, and I really appreciated that aspect of it as well.
Yep. After the clashing rocks sequence, Medea comes into play. She was on a fortuitously timed for the sake of them understanding the stakes of the sequence that was about to happen.
Exactly.
They're like, well, we're out here at the end of the world. What do we do? We just go through, and they're like, oh, there's a ship about to do it. Let's see what happens.
They seem fine, and then that's not really fine.
Turns out Medea, priestess of Hecate, was out there to whatever, was out there to make an offering to the gods. It doesn't really work that well.
Doesn't work out super well for her. Also funny, there's a movie, two movies that Honor Blackman is in. She's not necessarily painted gold, but there's two movies that she's in where a woman is painted completely in gold at one point.
And it's weird it's happened twice.
And it's weird it happens twice, and
the 60s were a crazy time.
I love the dance number. It almost felt like an obligatory dance number where they're like
a little bit.
They're like they get to the island and they're like, you know what? Why don't you see it how we get down? And they're like, okay, what do you mean? And then they're like, the dance number's cool. The colors are so vibrant. This isn't what's it called? The film stock that I'm thinking of. Technicolor, right?
Technicolor, right, yeah.
But it's still beautiful.
Yeah.
Really,
it pops.
Really does pop. And again, it would be weird, I think, in any other movie to have kind of like a random like perilous journey, finds this shipwrecked woman, and now like she's now dancing as like an offering to the gods. But the movie,
and then he's like, he doesn't realize it's her.
Yeah. And my fiance also commented how everyone's very tan, but then like she emerges from the water with like a full face of like makeup.
I did also have the thought where like she wakes up from her water coma and it's like, where am I? And it's like, and the face is perfect.
Yeah, bright lipstick still on the lips.
Eye makeup perfect. Like dialed in.
Yeah, and I said I wanted to be the mister on this set. Just going around making sure all the men were just sweaty enough looking for the camera. So
it's good. There was an AEW event at the arena downtown last week, wrestling. So they definitely have misters backstage.
Oh, really?
Everyone gets the stage very damp. Their hair is always wet. Because it looks cooler under the lights for TV, apparently.
That's so cool.
Yep.
This is a little bit of an aside, but...
you don't say.
No, what I'm about to say.
Okay.
I recently read that the reason that photos like look so good back from the 60s and 70s was because of like the indoor smoking.
Interesting.
And that a lot
There's
of
like a diffusing of light everywhere.
Yeah. And I say not necessarily that we bring back indoor smoking. Let's just set up some smoke fog machines.
Yeah, let's do it. Get the dry ice.
When we're like, it's like the fourth quarter and it's like the game's on the line. They're like, just like, put that in the AC and just like get it in there. And then like we can like disperse. But yeah, I don't know. Very interesting. Yeah.
I like it.
You
should do that more.
I think so too. Not necessarily for the fight that happened this weekend, which everything I know about it comes.
Yeah, I know Netflix didn't work very well for it.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
I everything I know about it is against my will. I was too busy watching a movie from the 60s. Very cool, very intellectual.
Super cool.
Yeah, I definitely feel like I need a YouTube deep dive into this movie of like how they did it
Yeah.
with someone who knows what they're talking about.
Yes.
Not to be rude to all of the, video essayists on YouTube, but I need someone who was like,
that exists.
this is the clay that we used, and this is why,
This is a very dissected film from the technical parts of it.
Yeah.
And I mean, worth saying again, oft imitated. The Harryhausen thing, he does this in a lot of movies, but this is probably the main touch point. The skeleton specifically, probably the main touch point.
Yeah.
And maybe Talos also. But I think this is, there's like a Gravity Falls episode that there's claymation in. That's like this. It's really good. And then a bunch of other stuff too, but I just have Gravity Falls on the brain.
That's a Cartoon Network show?
Disney XD, Disney Channel,
XD,
but the part of Disney Channel that's for tweens.
Am I thinking of Over the Garden Wall?
Maybe. That's a movie though, right?
I don't know.
Right.
I don't know much about anything about what we're talking about anymore.
Gravity Falls was a 2-season animated show on Disney Channel for tweens, but a lot of millennials love it. On a few years ago, that is heavily inspired by X-Files and Twin Peaks, but is also a kid's show that's very funny.
I should check it out. Is it on Disney Plus?
Yeah, it's really good.
I'll have to
Only 2 seasons. It's serialized with this like overarching central mystery.
Okay.
That's really cool.
I'll have to check it out. Maybe
really
before I'm hop on the next pod.
It's really good.
Oh, cool. But they do a Jason the Argonauts bit here.
There is one episode, like every episode is sort of a monster of the week, but with this overarching mystery. And one of the episodes is they go to, I want to say, the character that they visit that's only in this one episode is called like Ray Harryhausen or something like that.
That's so fun. Okay. Yeah. That's so cool.
It's something like that. It's like an old animator and they want to find, and it turns out, if you're going to watch it, I don't want to spoil it. Literally one throwaway episode. But it turns out like the monsters came to life and like attacked the creator or something.
That's cool though.
It's pretty cool.
I always feel like, I wish I had a job where I worked with my hands and that I created something.
Yes.
And I feel like stop motion animation would combine all of the things that I wanted to do.
Yeah. Have you ever tried stop motion before?
No.
And I was just checking how long we've been recording.
Oh, no.
That was out of curiosity. Yeah, I always think it sounds super fun, but then did you watch Parks and Recreation?
I've seen a couple. I've seen enough to know.
There's
if you name a character, I'll know who they are.
So there's one episode where Ben, who was Adam Scott's character, is depressed, and he channels that into doing like a stop motion animation thing. And he's been doing it the whole episode, and then he shows Rob Lowe's character, and it's like under 5 seconds long. And he hadn't realized, and he's like, that took me 4 days or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that is how it actually would go with stop motion.
Yeah. I've seen other stop motion films where I think the scale of it would be staggering to do by yourself, to want to be like, oh, I'm going to do stop motion in my garage or whatever. Mm-hmm. I don't have a garage. But it would be cool. It would be cool to be part of a bigger thing where I could get into work every day and they're like, what'd you do? And it's like, I got 0.5 seconds of this for the movie.
Oh God, I feel bad. Henry Selick, I want to say, is the name of the guy who at this point in time is sort of keeping stop motion alive. The guy who really made Nightmare Before Christmas. And then made Coraline later.
Tim Burton didn't make Nightmare?
He apparently wasn't there very much.
Oh, really?
But as the creator of the characters and the overall story. But then Henry Selick is the guy who was actually on set moving things around and doing shot composition and stuff.
I've actually never seen those movies.
Oh, well, we should do a stop motion month. But a lot of it would just be, Henry Selick movies.
Yeah. Did they do Koba and the Two Strings? What is that?
He didn't do Kubo.
Kubo.
So Henry Selick as a director, and then Leica is the studio that did Coraline and Kubo and Box Trolls, I want to say.
Which was it?
Box Trolls.
I don't think I know that movie. No, yeah. I think I was terrified of stop motion, mainly of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer as a kid, where it's like I even as an adult I won't watch it. Okay. It scares me.
So the more like plasticine, like ball socket joint puppets.
Yeah, because his head is always like doing like a number like one of these, and it freaks me out, and I don't like it. My sister loved it as a kid, and so if for Christmas if I go there and it's on, I like go to the other room, and play with the dog or whatever. And what movie I do love though that people sometimes have that same reaction to, Polar Express.
Interesting.
I love Polar Express. Throw it on any day of the week, I'll watch it.
The most recent stop motion thing I saw, also Henry Selick, although only his first movie since Coraline in 2009 was 2022's Wendell and Wild. Oh my God. A Netflix release. It tried to do a lot of things, but it was also in stop motion and pretty cool.
What was the name of this film?
Wendell and Wild.
I'm going to put it on the letterbox.
The titular characters are played by Key and Peele.
Okay.
Although they aren't like actually the main characters in the movie, so weird way to name it. But it's doing a lot. There's also a Jewish demon hunter at the school that this lady goes to.
This seems weird. I'll watch it though.
It's fully soundtracked by black punk artists.
Okay. No. That's cool.
It's doing a lot.
He also did James and the Giant Peach.
Yes.
Now,
his filmography is interesting.
That spider is quite scary. So I do like it though. Okay, very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, that spider's freaky.
Yeah.
All of James and the Giant Peach is freaky.
I feel like this movie is going to be one that I look back on very fondly. I don't know if I'll ever like do like a really like hardcore rewatch other than like I want like some technical details while I'm watching.
That's for me. It would be like, okay, if I get that disc and I'm like the mood strikes me to watch with the director's commentary, or not even the director, it was Ray Harryhausen's commentary, or a director, Peter Jackson's commentary.
Yeah, but
see what he's like, and this is why I made my King Kong 7 hours long or whatever.
I remember I saw that movie in theaters with my dad.
Yeah, yike.
And I was
9 years old. Nap.
9 years old.
Oh,
and I was expected to like lock in. I remember that when we got to the ant scene, I was like,
freaky.
I was like, Jesus.
That's intense.
He was like pretty good when it comes to like PG-13, I was 13. But he showed me Terminator 2 Judgment Day when I was like 5, and that he got in some trouble for that.
Yeah. That's a core, like, I'm a father and I need to make sure I show my kid this movie.
Yeah. You can't see. I would rather watch it.
Wait another moment.
He needs to watch it here in the house where it's safe rather than get it out from someone on the street, That can, not a horror movie, but certainly could freak you out even if you're not only 5 years old. Yeah, it was. And then King Kong. Oh, my God. But very, very interesting.
Anything else we want to say about Jason and the Argonauts? He gets the fleece. He's going back home. The movie ends before he does anything with it.
Yeah.
Aside from save Medea's life.
I can't. Every time you say Medea, I just think of.
Yeah, naturally.
Tyler Perry.
Naturally.
It's kind of like Nimrod and what Looney Tunes did to Nimrod.
Yes.
Tyler Perry did to Medea. That's an SAT.
I wonder if anyone has ever said those words in that order before. I have to. Every now and then you hear a thing and you're like, "That's an original work."
Thank you.
Of wordplay.
I'm very proud of it.
I don't know that anyone's ever made that analogy. Certainly, no one has ever said it out loud.
Well, thank you. If anything, this podcast strives to be unique.
If there's any college students out there worried about their essays being tapped with, anti-cheating technology.
Yes.
Make that your next thesis.
Yeah.
It's not going to say anything out there.
If anything, it'll cause like a reverse Skynet situation where the computer just shuts down.
Skynet. Computers are like, we're done.
We're done.
We don't want to be part of this anymore.
I think that's just the movie Her. At the end of the movie.
Yeah, for real.
Like, all right, we've seen enough humans for one day. The Medea situation.
All right.
I'm trying to think of my rating.
Well, let's get to ratings. On a scale of 0.5 to 5, on any scale of your choosing, aside from stars, what would you give Don Coffey or Chaffey?
Oh, I got a good one.
One of the other. What would you give his 1963 film, Jason and the Argonauts?
I would give it 4 burly, hairy chests.
Dang, you took mine. Not really. Yeah, I think we didn't even mention the Holocastus thing. Or turns out he betrays Hercules. He betrays Jason, and he's
for like off screen.
And he was Peleus' son, which we're introduced to him earlier in the film, and then when they were like, it turns out it's Peleus' son. It's like, oh right, I guess I should have known that the whole time.
Yeah, he's like,
a lot of these guys look the same. In my defense,
I'm glad you said that because I very much felt like that. I liked the guy who skipped the rocks and the guy
Tylus
and
Anacastus.
I was like,
they're the same.
Who
boy.
are these people?
There was big men, old men, or shorter men.
Yeah, but all very tan men.
All very tan men.
And I wonder if that's
all with the same hair color aside from Hercules.
Yeah, which he looked really good.
And Jason got to have scruff.
He did get to have some scruff.
And that's how.
Do you think it's a natural tan though?
I don't know.
Do you think it's a bronze?
A lot of I feel like a lot of men back in these days, they're not using sunscreen.
Yeah.
They're outside.
I reddened though. So I think they would have to like kind of trump me up, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Get the orange.
Get the orange. Out. I think I'm always jealous of a guy with a good tan though. And a hairy chest. I have neither. White and hairless.
Just white and hairless. Pure naked mole rat.
Yeah. Well, okay. Not that bad.
Yeah. So 4 indistinguishable hairy bronzed chests out of 5 for you.
Yes.
For me, I would also go 4. 4 stop motion skeletons doing a surprising amount of bits. Kind of having fun with it out of 5.
Yeah.
That one guy who he killed one of Jason's friends and then he sort of like jumped over him.
Yeah. Yeah.
The skeleton kills a guy and then does an Allen Iverson stepping over Ty Lue thing.
It's
really good.
Again, hate to bring Spy Kids up again before we end the pod, but they kind of do some bits in that movie, the skeletons. They react with each other in the crowd. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
When she says, "Oh, shiitake mushrooms," they like go crazy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Okay.
No, I do not.
We're gonna put it. I'm gonna comment.
I think there's a shiitake mushrooms bit in the first Spy Kids too.
There is. Yeah. They're like, play the hits if you got nothing else.
Sloops, Fooglies.
I can do the F. All right, we can. But yeah, really enjoyed it.
Danny Trejo.
Would love to discuss Gladiator 2 at some point in the office with you.
Yeah. I'll try to see it next Saturday.
I was like, I don't want to claim credit for the episode.
Right, we should say Sword and Sandals Month was your idea.
I
mentioned a friend wanted to do Gladiator 2, and I was like, I don't know what the theme would be. And you're like, Sword and Sandals would be the theme.
Boom. That's how quick I am.
It's perfect.
And I felt really honored that you took my suggestions.
Yeah. You're most welcome, and thank you for the suggestion. The monthly question this month, as far as I could crack it last week, was sword or sandals?
Oh, I don't go out with my feet exposed to the world, so definitely sword.
Yeah.
I don't like sandals. I don't think, and I hate to say this, you should not wear sandals. If even as a woman, I say this to you women listeners.
All right.
You should not wear sandals unless you're going to the beach.
Okay.
I'm not anti feet, but I'm not pro feet either.
Yeah. You're not these like Birkenstocks guys out here walking around like, no, they're so comfortable. I wear these out about.
Nope. In your home, please.
Toes are for the home only.
Yes. In fact, even like you are a no shoes house. Yeah. That almost pushes the boundary of what I like to do.
But you'll note I'm socks and slippers.
You have slippers on, but you probably don't wear those outside.
No, these don't go outside.
Exactly. Yeah. So like I understand this is your pure. Clean home.
They stay pure,
I'm gonna keep your home clean. Sure. But
feel free to bring slippers.
I will next time. Yeah. But yeah, no, definitely swords. I own a sword. It was a very so yes. I was an adult and I said, by Jove, I have my own money. Jove for the theme.
It's good.
I'm going to get a sword.
Yeah.
And I got one, and my girlfriend at the time, she's now my fiance, goes, "What's in the box?" And I go, "Well, wouldn't you like to know?" And I pulled it out of there like Aragorn himself. That's a true story. That's not bullshit. So, if you ever come knocking at my house, be ready.
Yeah.
I got that thing on me.
Oh God, yeah, you pulled it out just like Aragorn takes the blade of the West out of a cardboard box.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can just buy a sword. That's like what's crazy. People think you got to go to a Renaissance fair. You can buy a sword any day of the week.
Yeah.
Just do
They'll
it.
sell you the sword.
When I was leaving DC, I gifted my friend a training sword. I said, every man should have a sword. And I go, this is yours.
Yeah, get good. And this one's for training.
And he has it. And he hits his fiance with it. Not in a bad way, like in a fun, cute way.
In a cute way.
Yes. Like he annoys her with it, I should say.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's good. Every man needs a bit. Maybe his is I hit this lady with a sword.
Exactly.
And she's like, no,
it never gets old. Oh,
that's great. Well, I think that wraps our episode.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on.
Thanks for being on, Brady, and thank you to our listeners. I've never said that. Thank you to our sponsors. We don't have any. It's me. You can find our stuff at Linktree, linktr.ee/late to the movies, and catch us next time. I don't know if Gladiator 2 will be the next episode. It might be. We'll see.
Fun.
We got to find out what Patrick wants to do.
Get him in here.
Get him in.
Love that guy.
This dang baby's taking up all his free time, though.
Yeah.
He's still been on the podcast like every month since he's had his baby. So
movies never stop, even for infants.
No, the film keeps rolling.
Amen.
Maybe I'm looking for an outro lately. Maybe it's the film keeps rolling.
I love it.
Perfect. Cut it.